Hello, my name is Luca Domingos, and today I'm gonna be presenting about my mini project uh, 1 and 3. It's called Countries of the World, and I'm gonna be specifically showing the code behind all my graphs and my regression. So the data set is from Kaggle, and it's also called Countries of the World, and it contains interesting features such as each country's size, population density, climate, and other interesting factors, as you guys can see. And the questions I got from it were, does population or country size affect GDP? And so I created this interesting graph which shows population versus GDP per capita and country sizes. Does a region influence death or birth rate? And so I created this interesting graph that shows death and birth rates by region. So the colors are the different regions. And when it comes to my regression, I decided to have infant mortality as the response variable, and all the other variables as population size, country size, death rate, birth rate, and GDP, and see how those affect infant mortality. And these are my regression outputs, and this is the graph that I created from it. So now, moving on to the code. As you guys can see, these are all the packages you need to install and run with the library. So let's just do that. Second, you're gonna get the CSV link and store it as a variable. You're gonna run that. Then you're gonna make it a temporary file. Download the temporary file, and then you're gonna use this function that reads the CSV of the file and store it also as a variable, which I'm gonna call world countries. And then you just unlink or you delete the temporary file. And so with as you guys can see, the table from the website is downloaded over here. I have everything I need, and now we just need to do a little bit of cleaning and tidying the data so that it's exactly what we want. So for this first part, I'm just filtering the data. So as you guys can see, there's a column called GDP right over here. And so I just want to limit the GDP to uh, greater than 20,000, and also limit it to less than 35,000, just to select a select range of countries. I want also the population to be less than 100 million, and also filter the area. And so let's just run this code, and then we just have a new data set with all our future values, as you guys can see over here. So for the first graph, the one where we analyze does population size affect GDP, I just use a simple plotly graph with the x variable being the GDP and the y variable being the population. And as you guys can see, it's a scatter plot, and the markers, this mode markers just make so that the sizes of the scatter plots are according to the area sizes of the countries. And so this is the title, and so if we run this code, we will get this graph over here, which is my first graph. Moving on, we have this new filter where we filter by birth rate and death rate. This just accounts for all the missing values. For example, if there are zeros, we want to take those out, so we only include numbers that are greater than 0. And so with this, we can make our second plot, which is also a scatter plot, and the x-axis is going to be the birth rate, while the y-axis is going to be the death rate. And the important part about this code, as you guys can see here, is the group by, where that defines the colors. So here are the different colors for each of the markers. And so here it's grouping by climate, but you can change to whatever you want. So for example, in the slide presentation, I had it grouped by region, and so you can group wherever you want. If we run this code here, we should get a similar graph to what we had in the presentation, as you guys can see here. Lastly, going to the regression, we establish all the columns that we want in our regression. Then we create a new data frame, which you guys can see right over here, just with the columns that we want for the regression. We make sure that there are no blank spaces, no commas, nothing, and then we change all of those to, as you guys can see here, nothing. And then we just make sure that all the numbers are numeric, and then we attach all the variables to the data frame, meaning that you can call them easily without having to refer to the data frame. Okay, then if we run this, we should plot it. We get the fit, and then we get the summary of the fit, which should give us our regression outputs. As you guys can see here, all the significant variables that affect uh, infant mortality have a star on them, and that's how we get our regression. And now moving on for the last graph, we have again specified the columns we want for that graph. We just name those columns, we rename it, then we make it a data frame, make them numeric, attach the values again, and we group by region, we summarize by infant mortality, and we want the sum of them, and we make a, a plotly with the x variable being the region and the y being the infant mortality. And here's just naming them, and here are just the titles for the axis, and we also should get a graph similar to what we had. So that's it for my first project. Thank you very much.